Okay, this time we're going to turn to Dr. Sander again for our presentation for Accent on Academics.
Thank you, Dr. George. Board members, for this evening's Accent on Academics, Yorktown Elementary School will present Show Me the Money. During a recent fifth grade PBL or project-based learning project, students were tasked to act as financial planners in a mock budget simulation. As part of this project, students were given a real-life fixed income in which they had to develop a livable budget. Throughout this experience, they also had to problem solve through real-life events and stay within the given amount. This project supports the Virginia Standards of Learning through student development within the 21st century competencies of critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. To share more about this presentation and introduce the students and other presenters is Ms. Kelly Denny, principal from Yorktown Elementary School.
Good evening, Chairman George, Dr. Shandor, and members of the board. Before we get started, I also wanted to just take a moment and tell you from Yorktown Elementary how much we appreciate all that you do to advocate for our students and staff and families. So happy School Board Appreciation Month to you all. I'm excited to be here tonight with four of our most fabulous Yorktown Elementary students, Sinai Conley, Michelle Freeman, Jessica Springhorn, and Ellie Riley, as well as our entire fifth grade team, who were excited to be here and support this project this evening. What they want to share with you is an innovative project-based learning activity that they've implemented in their classrooms for the last 2 years. This project is a direct result of the project-based learning training that 4 of our 5 teachers were able to attend. During that training, they had the opportunity to work collaboratively and take the time to plan the needed intricate details of their lesson that they then brought forth in their classrooms. It is my pleasure to hand over our presentation to our wonderful fifth grade team, and they are going to tell you how they showed the money and started with the following driving question: how can we plan our finances so that we know how to live on a budget?
Good evening. Project-based learning projects begin with an entry event. To begin the entry event, students were assigned groups. They were given a piece of chart paper to sketch out a budget with an income of $2,500. Very little direction was given as to what to include in the budgets.
After we finished our unstructured budgets, they were displayed around the room. Teams were given the chance to look at each other's budgets. Each team was given a pad of Post-it notes. Each of us wrote one I like and one I wonder about the budgets and put our comments on the budgets. We then were given a team contract to sign. We were assigned a family profile which included the number of people in the family and the income or incomes. We then chose housing and transportation for the family.
After viewing each other's unstructured budgets, teams were given budget 1. Very general categories for expenditures were given, such as housing, food, transportation, and utilities. Teams then filled in other categories. It was interesting to read and share the I like and I wonder comments. An example of an I wonder was, I wonder why you have a mop on your list. Will you buy a mop every month? And I like that you budgeted for education.
To involve our parents in the project, we brought home a shopping list and discussed basic grocery needs for our family. Our parents helped us decide what categories and quantities of foods are purchased in our household for a month. We took the planners and combined them at school to determine the needs for our mock family. We also asked our parents about events that may occur unexpectedly that affect the monthly budget.
Teams began to research specific information in order to fine-tune Budget 2. Students had to determine actual costs of the necessary items. They discussed, at times very passionately, some of the optional expenditures such as entertainment. Students could be heard trying to persuade their team why they could or could not afford certain types of entertainment. In order to include items on the budget, the team had to come to a consensus.
We used online grocery sites such as Harris Teeter and Farm Fresh to shop for our families using our food planner. We determined what items were regularly purchased and what items are not. We also researched the cost of gas based on the vehicle our families drove. We also looked at options for eating out and looked at menus to different types of restaurants to determine how much it would cost for the family to eat out. We were given our 2 unexpected expenses and 1 unexpected source of income. Some of the unexpected expenses were the loss of an income. The family car breaking down, or a flood ruining the carpet with no flood insurance. We talked about how these events would impact our budget. We looked at areas in our budget that could be adjusted if needed to cover the expenses. We talked about how to best use the unexpected income.
Budget 3 is where we added the unexpected expenses into our budget and made decisions about the changes that needed to be made to our monthly budget. There were parts of our budget that we did not or could not change. For instance, we did not want to change the amount going into savings, and we could not change the amount for car payment or car insurance.
We looked at the budget to decide if the expense will carry over month to month, or if we could cover the expense in 1 month with our current budget. We used Budget 3 as a working copy. If we could not afford to cover the expense in full, we talked about options for payment, such as using the credit card and increasing our credit card payment.
This was our final clean copy of the budget that we presented to the class. We had to make sure that our math was correct, so each area was checked carefully.
As a culminating activity, we invited Chris Moore from Bayport Credit Union to present a workshop to our students on financial planning.
One of the activities that we did was to determine what items were wants and what items were needs. We discovered that some wants may be needs depending on the family situation. A cell phone is an example. If the phone is the only phone, it is a need. If the phone is an extra and not the primary way to communicate, it's a want. Mrs. Moore gave us cards with activities that families could do together. We had to choose which would be more cost-effective. For instance, water park versus beach.
As a result of this project, we learned what our parents consider when budgeting money and making financial decisions based on income. We learned that this is an important decision-making process to meet the needs of a family. We learned that savings is also an important part of budgeting.
In our curriculum, 5th graders must be able to add, subtract, multiply, divide whole numbers and decimal numbers. This project had our students doing just that, but with a real outcome. The answers had much more meaning when used to make important budget decisions for families. This was a process in which our students grew in their true understanding of the money decisions that are real for families. A very high level of engagement was evident at every stage of this process. When we teachers would meet with the teams to talk about how the budgets needed to be adjusted, they truly listened, recognizing that our own experiences with budgeting would result in solid advice. We believe that this is a learning experience that they will take with them. And at this time, if we have time, we would invite your questions.
Yeah. I guess I wonder why we wait till high school to give the personal finance.
That's what I was going to say. I think this is
Course.
a project that needs to be continued in middle school and then again.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
may just earn their high school credit, actually, in that course.
The question is truly education for life.
And I have a
Very
couple
much
of
so.
questions. One was, I guess, for the students, all right? And that is, before you dived into this project, did you pay a lot of attention to how monies were spent in the home? Family, your savings, your money you earned doing different things? And do you pay more attention to it now?
Well, I didn't really to it before, but now I pay more attention to it.
Because at first we kind of did, it's kind of like science where you make a hypothesis, except we started out with $2,500 and we just did what we thought we were supposed to do. And then we learned what we were really supposed to do. We got an actual, like, money that we get every month, and then we had more of an idea of what we were supposed to do.
And then my second question, I guess, is now when you go to the store with mom or dad and you're grocery shopping or picking up odds and ends of things, how many of you now go, Mom, we can't get that, it's not in the budget? I think it's a great program that y'all have done. And I like to see that you brought in the private sector. You know, you went out into the real world, brought back someone that has done so much for YCSD, but also represents a local bank that can bring that real world and connect all the dots. So fantastic job.
Do you have a? Do you have a business card?